And for the main event, the reason why we're here, the reason why we tuned in, the reason why that this podcast is titled what it is. We have the main event, Fight Night, Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. And yeah, Uriah Hall, you know him. You're very familiar with this Ultimate Fighter knockout highlights. Even he was talking about all week, like, God damn, you guys can't play a different highlight. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's like
know it,
that
but
same
like,
one.
I mean, it, I mean, he's right and he's wrong, right? And it pretty much comes down to the fact that I don't think Uriah Hall has the most impressive record to be number 8 at middleweight. I really don't.
You know, I'm going to pull him up on Tapology right now. Go
And I
ahead and
say that,
introduce the money line and all that. Or,
yeah,
you know,
sure. So
obviously say what you're going to say.
So no, yeah. So middleweight fight. So 185. We have Sean Strickland, who's ranked number 11 as the minus 220 favorite, fighting up 3 against the number 8 Uriah Hall, who's plus 180 underdog. Very weird already that someone's 3 ranks ahead is the underdog, but that has a lot to do with momentum. Now Uriah Hall has his last win over Chris Weidman, but that's because Chris Weidman broke his leg over
Yeah.
Uriah Hall. So like,
So that was my opinion coming into this. We're having like an inflated sense of Hall. I think Vegas got this right. I think every like podcast
oh
and
yeah,
commentator got it wrong. Nobody was wanting to really, you know, speak out against Uriah Hall. Now, in my head, I was thinking it like how like all right, so like yeah, Hall's last 2 win is over Anderson Silva, that was his last fight of his career. He was super old show of himself. And then Chris Weidman broke his leg checking the kick. Fight didn't even really get to take place. Now the UFC was building it up as, oh, he's coming off of back-to-back wins over former champs. And I'm just sitting there like, well, that's one way to put it. You know what I'm
yeah. Like,
saying?
hey, that's the nicest way you could say that.
Yeah, that's a little spin. That's a little English on that. But okay, you're not technically wrong. I feel it. You got to sell a fight. You got to build a narrative. And then, you know, he's been with the company so long. A lot of, you know, old school MMA fans, Ultimate Fighter favorite, at one point was the young, scary stud. Like, a lot of nostalgia when it comes to Uriah Hall. I get all that. But as far as what have you done for me lately and how do you project moving forward, I got to say, yeah, I wasn't like, to me, it was dauber down on Uriah Hall, not dauber up, which
For
Vegas
sure.
has agreed with us on, and the general public seemed to disagree with us on. I bet a bunch of people have put money on plus 180 Uriah Hall.
Yeah, but what's so weird about that is like, coming into it, I didn't really know who was going to win, but I definitely wanted Strickland to win, and I thought he was on a way hotter roll because of the way
Yeah,
he's been winning. Is like actual like this, fight. I think the Jack Marshman was a decision, might have been a TKO in the third, but that's kind of starts this last run of 4 fights that he's just really dominant in.
yeah, and I mean, so he's 5-0 in his last 5, and up until last night, that included Brendan Allen, and he has. Let me see those last 4. So yeah, it was two finishes, 2 decisions. So yeah, he
Right.
proves he has the cardio to go the distance, but he's also dangerous enough to finish you. This card was I don't want to say special to me. I'm not going to get like over to say do too much, but we have been like really high on Strickland since he was on prelims, and we're saying, oh man, this guy
Since
has
he fought Jack
potential.
Marshman, that's like
Yeah,
literally the fight we picked up on him in.
literally, and he's been on fight night prelims, slowly working his way up the card, looking impressive, just putting away whoever. I mean, having fun. He's known for talking and saying a bunch of crazy shit, and fighting in a reckless style, and
His story's great with the motorcycle
the
accident that takes him away
motorcycle.
and
Yeah,
rebuilds his career.
wild man as far as the personality goes. Yeah, I mean, and we'll get to his post-fight interviews and all that, but yeah. So Sean Strickland, we've been high on him. We've kind of watched this build. It was almost like the rocket ship that nobody was talking about. Every other time
Seriously.
somebody like works their way from prelim to main event, I mean, hell, Sean O'Malley hasn't even main evented yet,
No.
and Sean Strickland has, but like. When you think of rocket ship, you think about guys like Sean O'Malley, and it has a lot to do with social media and all that. I get it, but Sean Strickland doesn't even really care to be marketed or market himself. Every time he tries, he ends up putting his foot in his mouth. I watched this video. He went on TMZ Sports this week, and it was just awkward. A guy like Sean Strickland talking with a guy like TMZ,
Yeah.
and he started talking about how he wants to kill somebody in the ring. But on the flip side, to be fair, and it kind of is the only thing that saved the take is he was like, I also want to die in the ring.
Oh my God.
So it's just like when he talks, he kind of doesn't do himself any favors. So like, yeah, it's like I'm sure the UFC does not want this guy to ever be champ one day, but he just keeps working his way up the card.
He's just a real psychopath.
He's a real psycho, like for real. And that's what Bisping and Felder, they kept calling him psycho and fucking maniac.
Yeah, maniac Sean Strickland.
They're not wrong. Yeah, those are way better names than fucking Tarzan. I don't get Tarzan vibes. He's bald. Like, come on, we need a better nickname for you.
That's my thing is I don't get Tarzan vibes at all.
At all, yeah, at all. That's like, yeah, no, for sure. So,
like Lex Luthor would be a better nickname for that guy.
Way better. He's evil and psycho and bald.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor. I like it for sure. But yeah, big implications in the middleweight division because here, let me go to the middleweight rankings real quick. Let me see here. So yeah, ahead of Sean Strickland, you got Shabazian, you got Gastelum. So Shabazian and Gastelum are what separate Strickland and Hall. But that's weird because I think Gastelum's better than Hall anyway. So that's like, you know.
And I think Shabazian's worse than all three of those guys, the other guys.
Also agree with that statement. So yeah, take with the ratings what you will. I like the matchup. You got Darren Till ahead of Uriah Hall. So yeah, after this, you got nothing but big dogs. So for
right, because then you got like Hermanson, Vettori.
Till, Brunson, Cannonier. Yeah, you got just all main eventers, which I think is why they put Strickland in this main event now, because they knew if he did win, the only other options for him are essentially main event fights because the only other guys ahead of him are main event fighters. So it did make sense from like a building standpoint.
And I think the UFC loves to run middleweights as their main eventers. Why? Because they look like your average guy that's super jacked. Like they look like what most men think they would want to be looking like, right? So like most of these guys are anywhere from 5'11" to 6'3", right? Then they're just and they're just stacked, and then they still have skill. Like they're still fast, they're still athletic.
Fast. Yeah,
they're not just lumbering oafs. But then at the same time, they have power to end the show at any point.
Yeah, no, it's like to somebody that doesn't know the sport, you look at Brandon Moreno with his shirt off. It's just like this is what you want me to pay $70 for? Like this is the best athlete. So yeah, I feel you. It looks good on the poster, as they say. But yeah, so and the reason why we're talking so much about context and pretty much dancing around the fact is this was a one-sided.
Oh yeah.
It was all Sean Strickland. Uriah Hall, it was almost like a slow start, just never ended. Is the best way I can describe it. He just, I heard different people try to say he got going in round 2 or going in round 3 or going in round 4. I will disagree. Hey, he never got going at all, in my opinion. Yeah, man. Let me just ask you this simple question: did you give a round to Hall?
I didn't, and the only round I even got close to giving him was round 2. I mean, that was the only round I got close to.
It was his best round, which is just grasping at straws to say anything nice, because his best round wasn't close, but it was his best round. I agree.
And then in reflection of that, I was close to giving Strickland a 10-8 victory in round 3. I almost scored the fight. Yeah, I almost scored at 50-44. I was very close.
So it was round 3. Yeah. Did you like it better because Strickland was having success on the ground and on the feet? Is that what separated that round for you? And probably that judge as well?
And Hall, so Strickland fucked up in the third round. And what I mean by that is he did an Ige takedown. He hit Hall so hard and had him so hurt, and then decided to dump him and start trying. I mean, granted, he did go for ground and pound and control on the top, so it wasn't like a total waste, and it was earlier in the fight than like an Ige takedown was.
I have a hot take that's kind of unfounded, but it's not unfounded because Strickland's a psycho, and he doesn't sit down in between rounds, and he doesn't get tired. I legit don't think Strickland was done with him, bro.
You might be right.
Because I honestly, you're right. There was between the 3rd and 5th rounds, there was at least 3 separate times where Strickland could have got him out of there. And everybody in Bisping kept saying it was bad fight IQ and that he didn't really understand what he was doing. I think he understood exactly what he was doing.
You think quite the opposite. He was just being tormentous.
So you mean to tell me he was completely aware and made good decisions until then, and then he just decided to turn off the brain switch. And like I just disagree with that. There was no indications that he wasn't aware or he didn't have good fight IQ or that he wasn't doing exactly what he wanted to do at all time. I think he was playing with his food, bro. Like, you can say that's disrespectful for me to say. I'll say that was disrespectful for him to do, and I'm just reporting what my eyes saw. Like, that's not like I'm not trying to like rewrite the narrative here. That's how I interpreted it. Like, I don't think that he just became brain dead. Because also, too, he wasn't tired. When Ige was shooting his Ige takedowns, as we like to call him,
Yeah.
he was gassed as fuck and like not really thinking straight. Like, Strickland was fresh, not wobbled, hadn't really been hit with anything that significant. I think he was in full control of his faculties and just, I think it was his first 5-round fight. I think it was his first main event. I think he was having success. I think he was having fun. I
would agree with that. I think in round 4, after Uriah Hall got hurt and realized, like, I'm getting my ass whooped, he came out in round 4 and, like, tried. He really tried. Like, I think Uriah Hall in his mind was like, I'm going to try for these next 2-3 minutes because, you know, Strickland hasn't been in a 4th and 5th round yet. I'm going to really put the pressure on him, put the pace on him, and see if it breaks him. Sean Strickland's not going to break to that.
No, and Hall should have done the opposite strategy. He should have come out guns blazing in rounds 1 and 2,
right,
and fought like he did in round 4 and rounds 1 and 2. I think he would have found more success. Who knows if he wins or not?
But Uriah Hall is just not a super offensive striker. He's always a low volume, heavy hitting defensive not counter striker even, but defensive striker. Like, he's not going to take strikes that like open him up to a bunch of dumb damage.
I'm not a big fan of his style. I'm really
no,
not.
It's super boring to watch unless he lands the punch.
And I gotta say, I thought that like Bisping was being like super one sided because he like admittedly respects Hall and admittedly doesn't really like Strickland, and so like for example, from round 2 on, Uriah Hall's eye was essentially closed. The broadcast didn't mention it until like the 5th round.
That's what I'm saying.
That. They just weren't really trying to give Sean Strickland his like just do. All they kept talking about the whole broadcast was like what Uriah Hall needs to do to like, you know, get this thing going in a different direction.
Instead of what Sean Strickland was doing to continue that direction.
Yeah, they really, granted, Sean Strickland doesn't give a flying fuck, and you know, you got to love him for it, but like, me watching it as somebody who was kind of rooting for Strickland, I was just like, man, like, they say Rogan's one-sided. Like,
Bisping's the worst about being one-sided.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when Fitzgerald's out there because Fitzgerald won't check him at all. Anik will actually kind of check him on, like, facts and, like, and redirect the conversation. God.
Yeah.
Cruz will check anybody, which is, like, cringy.
Like, make it fun. You know what I mean?
Well, and Felder's great at post-fight interviews in the octagon. Felder's great at that.
So good. Like, maybe encroaching on Rogan. Like, so good. Definitely
honestly, man,
DC. Way better than DC.
Yeah. I think Felder's my, like, most – and I think we voted him as commentator of the year. But, I mean, I think he just continues that streak of being so damn good.
Yeah. No, he's so good at it. And
then
now he's retired, so he can do it full time. So
and then you see the videos of him in the commentator meetings where they have the athlete meetings or fighter meetings, whatever you want to call them. But they get to, like – so the whole board – Megan Levy, Laura Sanko, all those people get to sit in a room and they interview the coach and fighter, right? More so the fighter, the coach is just there.
Oh, yeah.
Diego Sanchez thing, remember that?
Yeah.
So Paul Felder jumps out when the coach is like going on and on. And he goes, hey, honestly, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And honestly, we're not here to talk to you. We're here to ask Diego questions. So if you could just shut up, that'd be great. And I was like, thank God Felder's still Felder.
Oh, yeah. No, Felder's so good, man. So one judge had it 50-44. I imagine he gave it was the 3rd round 10-8 to Strickland.
Yeah.
I had it 50-45. Did you end up having it 50-45?
Yeah.
All right, so we both agreed with the second judge. One judge gave it 49-46, which it's like
second round to Uriah Hall. That's the only round he could have given him. The only round, and I still think that's kind of a robbery. That's like a heist.
Like, what can you do, right? I mean, it's just, you know, it's one round, didn't have an impact, but that can be a slippery slope, right? Still don't like to see it. I think it was like a respect thing. I don't know. You're not supposed to judge fights like that. We're not boxing. But
true.
Yeah, Sean Strickland, number 11, beats number 8 Uriah Hall. One of the biggest favorite to win, I think, on the whole card. I do believe the only big favorite to win. Um, so I mean, as far as what's next for him, I think what's most likely to happen is most likely probably Hermanson. Now, I personally want to see Till. I think that's so much fun. The
Oh my
amount
God,
of
that
just
matchup,
wild shit.
the amount of
Yeah.
internet trolling that's going to hit Sean Strickland's chin to
Oh yeah.
start that match.
Well, and just the type of wild shit that Sean Strickland will say, like in real life or in the actual fight. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah, and well,
saying?
the
Like,
shit Darren Till will say will be wild as fuck
oh yeah,
too.
no,
Like they'll
that's
just be psychopaths.
I don't even know if you could. That would have to be on a paper, but you can't put that fight on cable TV. That's
No,
gonna
dude,
go.
that has to be like a featured bout or something because
Yeah,
those two dudes are
something.
going to put on a war. They're both volume strikers that have power, and they both don't like to grapple.
And when I'm not trying to hear something beeped out the whole time, like I want to hear all that. That's
Yeah,
my
great
point. Like
point.
it's gonna be
Great
too
point.
vulgar for
Great point.
ESPN. That's gonna have to be on a pay per view so we can hear the cussing. That's what I'm referring
Great
to.
point.
Yeah. And then I mean, you can't really go wrong. I mean, what's the next fight? Who's Cannoniers fighting Cost? Or no, Cannoniers fighting Gastelum. I guess you could give Strickland the winner of that would be fun and really kind of
Especially if Gastelum
accelerate
wins.
things.
It's a fun
Yeah,
matchup between him and Gastelum because Gastelum fought Adesanya so well, and Strickland's not style is like Adesanya, but his length and size is like Adesanya.
yeah, for sure. And I think Cannonier would even be fun too. Is I think you'd be willing to engage and strike.
I mean, Hermanson's fun, honestly. I think Shabazian can get that work if they're trying to like see if Shabazian actually has what it
That would
takes.
be fun. That would be fun. Yeah, that would be fun. And the cool thing is, yeah, after the fight, they're like, "Who do you want to call out?" And he's like, "I don't care. I want to fight. I like fighting. I like violence." He like said, and the quote maybe of the year so far. He was like, "Man, if I wasn't in the UFC, I'd be in a trailer somewhere cooking meth. So I'm just glad to be here." One
Like,
night
who
of the
says
year.
that, dude? Who says that? Sean Strickland. But like,
Sean Strickland. And the thing is, he's not the type of guy that's gonna go put that on a t-shirt and try to
I don't
sell
even think
it
he's
to you.
kidding. Is the
No,
problem?
no,
I don't even think he's
no.
like. I
There
think he'd
was
be in a
no
biker
marketing.
gang. I literally think
Yeah.
he'd be in a biker gang, cooking,
The
selling, and doing meth if he was
Sons
not
of
a fighter.
Anarchy meets
Yeah.
fucking Breaking Bad.
No,
Like
I swear to God,
seriously.
he lives Sons of Anarchy as like his real life if he
Meets like
wasn't a fighter.
Roadhouse. Like
It's. I mean, I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fan. Now,
no, me
your
too.
name
We've
being
been a
Tarzan
fan.
shouldn't be Tar. Maybe his nickname should be Hell's Angel, not the
Hell's
Hell's Angels,
Angel.
but like Hell's Angel.
Yeah, man, I think we just need like just out of the I don't know we need to incorporate the trailer like Sean avoiding the trailer strictly. I don't even know. Like it. Oh man,
Oh,
or
Sean
even
Breaking
Breaking
Bad
Bad.
Strickland.
Sean
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. That would be something. I don't know. Yeah, definitely don't get Tarzan vibes. Apparently, he just goes gym to gym because he like
Dude,
wears out his welcome everywhere.
how
Like
about the chef?
the chef.
Because he's whipping it up.
Oh, because he's whipping it up, man. Cooking like a stir fry, man. Water whipping, Sean water
But
whipping Strickland.
yeah, to what
Yeah.
you were saying, he does go gym to gym and get kicked out because he literally gets in fights with guys that he trains with. Like he thinks they go
He
too hard,
doesn't
they
like
think he goes too
spar.
hard.
Yeah.
Doesn't
He
light
just
spar.
fights. Yeah, he just fights. Yeah, he goes, he's like, yeah, I drive all over Vegas, SoCal, NorCal. I just go wherever I can get a fight. He like, and the thing is, because like, there's guys that try to be like aloof or I don't care, or they're just like too shy to make a call out. Like, I think it was who was it? I was super disappointed, and it was Jin Frey actually, because she had that
Yeah.
fantastic performance, wins a war, perfect opportunity to win a bunch of fans, make a dope call out. And she's like, I haven't earned the right to call anyone out.
Which is the
I was
worst answer.
the worst. It's like, okay, I looked at me and I was like, she's gonna be fighting on prelims.
Yeah,
Literally said that.
like
Like
go ahead and
that's
keep those 6 and 6s coming.
like how to not move up the card 101. Exactly. But the thing is, Sean Strickland essentially said the same thing, but coming from like a totally different place, and us fight fans like it way more, right? Like,
Because he says it with like psychopath intentions of I'll
yeah,
fight any man you put in front of me. And
yeah,
she
yeah.
says it like I'll fight, but like I don't want to make them feel weird that I call them out because I'm maybe not on their level. It's like
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
What?
and then in the actual post fight show, so not the post fight interview, he actually joined uh Bilal Muhammad,
Oh
the
shit,
voice
I
at
didn't
the
see
press.
that.
Yeah, it was like Bilal Muhammad and Dean Thomas and think Olivi. I could be wrong, but and it's so funny too because it's talking about like how we were saying he's so bad at marketing and media and shit. So they have the little clip-on mics that go like right here on your
Yeah,
collar.
lavaliers. Yeah.
Like he was sitting like this, like weird, and he kept like rubbing it with his chin, and you could like hear it like in your ear, just like whenever you hit a mic, that sound. And then they had to like cut
like
it off and
this.
give him a handheld mic. Yeah, that was literally he just kept like just like looking around. It was so funny. But then they gave him a handheld mic and he was like, yeah, I mean, I'll fight Francis Ngannou for the right amount of money. He's like, I'll get knocked the fuck out, but that check's right. I'm down.
Let's go.
Let's go. And it's just one of those things with Sean Strickland where he's not the first person to say any of these things. Like, quite literally, people say these things.
But he just means them so seriously.
Yes, and the level of authenticity and like I don't have to suspend my belief. Like no, I could like actually see that scenario happening. like in some freak show. Like Sean Strickland, like whenever he's done with the UFC or whatever, he's definitely gonna be taking like these YouTuber fights or just whoever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he just will fight anybody anywhere, cut the check, and he'll show up and put on a show. And that's the thing too. He comes with just lefts and rights down the middle. It's not elaborate. And he has great cardio, great pace, and he's just
honestly, he throws like clean combos. He has good striking defense, like good head movement off the center line. Like he has a lot of things that make him dangerous to just your everyday fighter. Now, where I start to draw lines is guys like Israel Adesanya, obviously, Robert Whittaker, obviously.
Yes.
I even think guys like Vettori give Sean Strickland a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I think just the size difference and just the power.
And Vettori's too defensively responsible for a guy like Sean Strickland.
I think even Brunson would probably do him similar to Kevin Holland. Granted, I think Sean Strickland's way better on the ground than Kevin Holland, but it is mostly jiu-jitsu based, and Brunson has essentially the jiu-jitsu code cracked, which is keeping you down on your back and not getting submitted. So, yeah, guys like Vettori and Brunson are going to be really tough matchups. Now, do I think on any given day he gives Costa and Cannonier all they want? Like, you know what I mean? So it's a weird matchup thing for Strickland. But I also think I say that every week with every middleweight. I think we're pretty down on Costa and Cannonier. I think they're a little overrated. Like, I personally think Gastelum is like a better fighter than either one of those guys.
I don't know, man, because I think we remember Paulo Costa as getting worked by Israel Adesanya and being a head case ever since it. Yeah. But before that, man, when he fought Yoel Romero, like he might have lost that fight.
Yeah,
it was a great fight, and we know how good Yoel was.
We know how good he is. Yeah, and then I don't know.
He's just hard to respect because he's so dumb.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to not like about Paulo Costa.
Like, I mean, everything except for his physique.
And also, and even how he gets that physique. You know what I'm saying? Like, call him TJ Bonds. You know what I'm saying? But also, man, it's like, all right, Costa, yeah, fair. We have the last flavor you left in our mouth is your bad loss to Adesanya. However, have you given us anything else since? And I think have you pulled out of a couple of fights since? And have you refused to sign contracts because you want more money coming off a loss since?
Let's not forget the 40 days in a row that he cried, sign the contract when there was never a contract to be signed.
Yeah. And it's just like, and then, Cannonier, is he dangerous? Yes. But is there holes in his game? Yes. And like same with Costa. Like, I don't know. Martin Vettori, he has at least like a clear path to victory, like a very clear path to victory. And he has very clear, like, intangible, dude. Like, super
I would love to
tough,
see
great chin.
Vettori versus Costa would be phenomenal.
You've been calling for that for months. That's the
Battle of the Bodies.
Battle of the Bodies, Battle of the Brain Cells.
Singular.
Both coming off of L's. You know what I mean? It makes a lot of sense. And it's
what, 2 and 5 in the rankings, or 2 and 4, something like that?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, what's better? That's a perfect matchup.
Both have main evented before, so yeah.
Well, and one and the champion are booked. So what are they fighting for other than the number one contender spot, which I would say would go to the guy that wins the 2-4 matchup, if not the 2-3 matchup.
And then as far as what next for Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares is sitting there at 13. You just keep keep using that name as a gatekeeper.
That'd be an interesting fight. Or I mean, you could even try and put Uriah Hall on the backslide hard at this point and try to give him someone right outside the top, like a Brendan Allen. And let's see how Brendan Allen does against Uriah Hall. And maybe we put Brendan Allen in at like 14 or 15.
No, I'm not at that at all. Not mad at that at all. I mean, do I want to like? Do I think that? I don't know, bro. Like Uriah Hall fights aren't that fun to watch.
I
I
know,
mean,
but I think
at
Brendan
one
Allen
point
would
they
bring it
may
to him.
have been, but I'm saying since let's go real quick. Let me look at something real quick. How many years are we talking about since like a fun Uriah Hall fight? I mean,
Probably 5,
yeah, I
4.
mean, so before Anderson Silva, his last fight was a split decision in 2019 that against Antonio Carlos Jr. I don't remember that fight. I'm sure it was. And then he has the loss to Paulo Costa in 2018.
In
Yeah,
which
I
he got
mean,
in which he got put to sleep, right? Wasn't that a KO victory?
yep, it sure was. Second round to
Yeah,
punches.
and
So,
now granted, that fight was super entertaining because he had Costa hurt bad, and then he got put down. So
yeah,
it's
so,
been about 3.5, 3 years, but
yeah.
still, that's bad.
And
That's bad for
and he's
shelf life.
37, so it's like, all right, is he going to get more exciting and start faster and less timid? And no, typically not. Typically not. But yeah, listen, I'm glad that card ended up being a lot of fun. We had a fun time breaking it down with you.
Yeah.
A lot in there. Even a fight night card, not a kind of slept on card, but